It's never easy rebuilding a franchise. And I think the best way that I've seen, at least, and a lot of NFL teams like the 49ers, the Cleveland Browns, and a multitude of other teams, even like the Patriots, have shown you build through the draft. You absolutely build through the draft. You get a young core of players that will come out and play for each other, relatively cheap, but most importantly, young, athletic, smart, and you do your research. And today we continue our grading of the NFL teams and the specific NFL teams of their 2021 NFL draft class. And we begin with the Atlanta Falcons. Not begin, but we begin today with the Atlanta Falcons. You look at their first overall pick, or their first pick, number 4th overall. They drafted Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. This was a really good pick. Like, I think, you had a couple of other ideas. You had Jamar Chase on the board. You had guys like Penny Sewell. So I think at the end of the day, I think this was a wise choice, considering how the rest of it panned out. Finished the season with 68 catches, over 1,000 receiving yards. Did only have 1 touchdown, but I think that's not so bad. That is absolutely not so bad. You've seen a lot worse, and I think at the end of the day, you can justify this pick because I think that the Falcons knew that they were probably going to need some offensive line help. They were probably going to want to look for, at some point, whether it be this year or next year, a first-round draft pick. And, I think it was just kind of a tough thing to be able to look at and engage because, it's a draft. It's one of the hardest things to be able to handle. So I think at the end of the day, this was a really good pick. And I think that at the end of the day, you have to go out and get the best players for your respective team. And I think they did that with Kyle Pitts. This guy's a mismatch at every level you talk about with what he does. Obviously too fast to be guarded by a linebacker, and too big, by the way, also too big to be guarded by a corner and a safety. So this is going to be a really good pick for a long time. This is going to be an absolutely this is going to be one of those picks that, he's going to be a pass catcher for the next 10 to 15 years, and he's going to do a lot of good things for this franchise, most likely 10 years. But he's going to be a franchise tight end. I think, back in the day when they had, players like Tony Gonzalez, you're like, okay, this team has got talent. And you could see what his impact, Tony Gonzalez's impact, had on that team. And now you got, I know that the Falcons could go out and choose a different quarterback. They could do a lot of different things. They just, I think, that Matt Ryan is going to have at least another year in Atlanta. But even though you could see that this team is still rebuilding, and I think once they figure out who they want to be their quarterback long term, I think you pair him with a guy like Kyle Pitts, and you got a really good duo going there. In the second round, the Atlanta Falcons selected Richie Grant as safety out of the University of Central Florida. I love this pick. I absolutely loved it at first. I think overall, it was somewhat tough for him to get on the field, and I understand why, because I think it was Duron Harmon that had a really good season overall for the Falcons, and you want to bring these players along, and you don't want to push them into a game or into the NFL too quickly. And I totally understand that. But I think Richie Grant, moving forward, he's going to be the future. I think, he's a guy that played 16 games, had 35 tackles for the Falcons, had a 56.8 PFF grade. He's the future. He's absolutely the future, and I think he needs to really see the field a lot more this year. Because if you watch the tape of what he did at UCF, guy's a stud. He's an absolute stud, and I think he's going to do a lot of good things for the Falcons. And, I think moving forward, he's going to be a guy that you really think is going to be able to bring that defense together, and I think that's a big thing the Falcons need right now. So overall, I gave this, also, by the way, I gave Kyle Pitts grade an A because, it's Kyle Pitts, great pick. But Richie Grant gave this pick a B because I think, he's going to get on the field more and be a bigger part of the defense moving forward, and I'm really excited about it. In the third round, the Atlanta Falcons selected Jalen Mayfield, guard out of Michigan, number 68 overall. This was a tough one because there was a lot of talent left on the board. Specifically, I believe Wyatt Davis was still on the board. And the Vikings ended up getting Wyatt Davis. So I personally would have went in the Wyatt Davis route, but at the end of the day, it is the draft. You scout players. You have your own departments to do all of that. So I think it was kind of a rough thing for and again, it is the NFL. It's a huge jump from the college to the NFL. So I think, when you see a guy that had 968 pass snaps, 9 penalties, and 11 sacks, yes, he struggled at times and finished the year with a 49.2 PFF grade. Yes, not pretty, but I think, you got his feet wet. You kind of know what you got with him. At this point, I actually really support this because you at least played him. The Vikings didn't even play Wyatt Davis this year, and it's like, well, what do we have in him? You at least know what you have in Jalen Mayfield. He's a guy that's still developing, that could still be a good guard moving forward in the NFL. So you know what you got. You know what you got moving forward, and you can kind of gauge on what your draft needs are for this year, or at least maybe bring in competition. I don't know, but Jalen Mayfield is still coming around. I think it would be foolish to give up on him after 1 year, but I do believe competition is the way to go here. In the 4th round, number 108 overall, the Atlanta Falcons selected Darren Hall, corner out of San Diego State. 14 games. This is like when you get into the 4th round, you get into these developmental guys that may not start right away or play right away, but they've got a lot of talent. That definitely fits the mold of Darren Hall. 14 games, 1 start, 27 tackles, 1 sack, 48.0 PFF grade. I think one thing that stood out to me on tape is he's just really willing to get involved with receivers. Like he's physical, he's fast enough. I think, for being honest, the Falcons just have some good corners. Like if you want to talk about a guy like AJ Terrell, Dante Fowler, AJ Terrell, also Fabian Moreau showed me some things. So I think overall this is going to be a good pick for the Falcons moving forward. You never know what he could become, because I think, especially when you get into the 4th round and you start getting some of these corners, they start to do some things. Like they start to play well, and they end up being a steal long term. So I think Darren Hall could definitely be a steal moving forward. And I think that this is a depth piece. Obviously, when you get in the 4th round, it's more focused on developmental and depth, and I think it's a quality pick. Just overall, average pick. I gave it a C, as well as I did for the Jalen Mayfield pick. I think you just got to see what you got moving forward, and you move from there. In the 4th round, 6 picks later, the Atlanta Falcons selected Drew Dahlman, center out of Stanford. Loved this pick. 17 games. Played in 17 games, played a total of 68 snaps, had 2 penalties, allowed 0 sacks, had a 78.3 PFF grade. This was a B for me. Mainly it's a B because I know that the Falcons moving forward have a respectable center in Matt Hennessy. So I think, you get a guy like a depth piece that moving forward he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And you at least, again, have quality depth that can do some great things, can play guard if you need him to. And, when it is time for Hennessy to hang up the cleats, or if you want to move him into guard, that would work too. So Hennessy also, by the way, had a good year. He had a 77.1 PFF grade, played 988 snaps, had 5 penalties and 3 sacks, so had a respectable year as well. So I think, a guy like Dahlman, you question, well, if you already have a good center, why would you draft him? Well, you can move him into guard. You can move him just about anywhere, maybe put him in for Jalen Mayfield. Who knows? But I think it's one of those things where, you just see where you can get a player and see where you can plug him and play. And I think Dahlman was a great pick here for the Atlanta Falcons moving forward. And I think he's going to be a big part of that. He should be. He needs to be a big part of that offensive line moving forward. In the 5th round, the Atlanta Falcons selected Taquan Graham, a defensive lineman out of Texas, number 148 overall. Played in 13 games, had 5 starts, recorded 15 tackles, had a 47.3 PFF grade. This was a little puzzling to me because I know that the Falcons want to they need to get a pass rush, but I don't know. I thought there were better D linemen on the board, especially if you want to go interior defensive tackle. And I think moving forward, teams like the Falcons will do whatever they can to just get the most talent that they can. And I totally get it. At the end of the day, though, I do think there were better players, like guys like Jalen Twyman on the board if you wanted to go D tackle, and the list goes on. But you made the pick. I think you bank on a lot of talent here. And again, that's kind of what the 4th through 7th rounds are, is just banking on talent and seeing where teams are going to go with it, or where players are going to go with your developmental staff and see how far they go. And I think that's exactly what the Falcons did here. In the 5th round, number 180th overall, help me say this name, Antetokounmpo Ogundeji, something like that. Okay, outside linebacker, Notre Dame. Played in 16 games, had 11 starts, 33 tackles, had a pass deflection, also had a PFF grade of 54.2. I gave this grade a B, or this pick a B, because, you look at a guy like Ogundeji, and, I think it's more, again, later in the fourth round, later after the fourth round, or at the fourth round, you look at guys that have the size, that have the speed, that have the measurables you want to take a shot on. And I think that Ogundeji is definitely the guy here. 6'4", 268, former Fighting Irish, so alumni, excuse me. Maybe he's not alumni. I don't know, but I do know that he was a good player for him this year. I think, again, it's kind of similar to what the Vikings did last year and drafting a guy like DJ Wonnum. Draft him, just see how you can develop him. He's got the size, he's got the length you want, and he's going to be a good player moving forward for the Atlanta Falcons. And again, you draft players like this to bank on talent. In the fifth round, number 183 overall, just 3 picks later, the Atlanta Falcons selected Avery Williams, corner, Boise State. Played in 15 games, had 1 start, had 22 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and recorded a 48.0 PFF grade. Gave it a C+ because he also returned kicks for him, did some good things there too. So a little bit more value there for the Falcons. And again, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, you get guys that are depth, developmental pieces that are going to be key pieces. Like everybody thinks, if you look at teams like the 49ers or the New England Patriots, they draft with intention. In other words, those guys that they get after the 4th round, not only do they contribute, they are a key part of their special teams for a few years, and then they end up panning out later on. So, these picks are big. These picks are absolutely huge when you want to add some talent and just continually make plays, or have players that make plays for your team, especially in those later rounds. You need, if everybody can't have $30 million contracts. You got to be able to have some of those guys in the middle there that come in and make plays. They're not superstars, but they do come in and they just create havoc when you need them to. And I think that's kind of the mold here with Avery Williams. Again, having good cornerback depth is very underrated in the NFL. It's a passer league, or get the passer league. So overall, this is a good pick. I gave it a C+. And then I think, again, it's going to be really good to see how their corner depth seems to come out with this and the Darren Hall pick. So in the 6th round, number 187 overall, the Atlanta Falcons selected Frank Darby, wide receiver out of Arizona State. Played in 10 games, was targeted 4 times, had a catch for 14 yards. Again, this is tough. Everybody can sit here and say, oh, well, they should have drafted this player. You take chances on guys because, from the research you've done, like the Falcons may have seen something here none of us did. Darby, you've already got a lot of other talent on your team at wide receiver. And I think, guys like Cordarrelle Patterson is going to be the full he's going to be honestly the full package. I don't know what's going on with Calvin Ridley. We'll see. Russell Gage is respectable, and I think Darby could be one of those guys that sees more time potentially, and you could see a guy that makes a name for himself. So we'll have to see what happens. But overall, those are our grades for the 2021 NFL draft class for the Atlanta Falcons. I would give it overall a B. I think again, you got Kyle Pitts in the 1st round. He's going to be a generational talent, a guy that you're going to have come in and just be a focal point of your offense. You got Richie Grant out of UCF in the 2nd round. That's a big steal, big time steal. I gave that grade an overall B just because that he needs to see the field more. He also got Drew Dahlman, guys like that. I like the Ogundeji pick. And Avery Williams and those cornerback depth is good as well. So overall, I gave it a B, and I think this is going to be a great draft class for the Atlanta Falcons moving forward. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We really appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome, and we love every single one of you. Check out our website at thesportsbreedpodcast.com. Also in the description down below, you'll find all of our social media platforms, so give us a like and a follow there. Also, in our description is our iTunes link, so give us a listen and sub there. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about our grades for the Atlanta Falcons 2021 NFL Draft Class.